our monetary system is not based on anything except the promise to tax us in the future and air. It's just a belief system.
Yes.
During the Great Depression, the greatest deflation that we've ever known, our base money then was gold. Mm-hmm. And that could not disappear. A third of it could not vanish. Now the whole monetary system is backed by credit. And this can all vanish. That's what happened in the Great Depression. That's what the deflation was. It was
okay, so I want
vanishing.
Okay, Michael, let me just this brings me to a very interesting concept and a point that I think that you made in I think either the second or third video. If I understood you properly, you believe we could run into a very serious deflationary problem before we get a hyperinflationary problem. Is that what I'm hearing? Am I hearing you right?
Yes, that's what I wrote in my book. And I said that we're on a wild roller coaster of a ride, that we'd have the threat of deflation to which Ben Bernanke he wasn't Fed governor yet, but I said he would be Fed governor and he would overreact by doing a helicopter drop.
Exactly what he's done.
We had the threat of deflation with the markets collapsing, and he overreacted with a giant helicopter drop.
Right.
And he hasn't stopped that helicopter drop. And then I said there would be that would reflate the markets, and then
and that's happened.
There would be a real deflation. Yeah, so everything I've said so far has come true.
It's coming true.
Then there should be a real deflation where credit starts to contract. And if you look at base money, his creation of base money is offsetting other credit aggregates that are collapsing and have been since 2008. So I think we're going to have a big deflation. And then the powers that be, Ben Bernanke and the rest of the world's central banks, will just print and print and print until deflation gives way.
Okay, let me just stop you.
There may be so much base money in the system that, if people start feeling good, a hyperinflation happens.
Okay, let me just stop you now. You said in the 1930s at least we had 1/3 of our money supply, our was backed by gold, so that couldn't disappear, whereas now we have virtually nothing. There's nothing behind our currency. So is it possible then that the deflation that we experience this time could actually be worse than the 1930s?
Oh, I think it's going to be a whole lot worse than the 30s, personally. I think that, people don't understand the scale of the emergency that's going on right now. They think that Ben Bernanke fixed things and that the economy's back on track.
Yes.
But the Fed is still doing emergency measures. They're printing $85 billion a month, and that's over $1 trillion a year. And people do not grasp the scale of the emergency measures that they're doing right now.
No.
There was just a little over $800 billion of base money in existence before the crisis in 2008. That means that's $800 billion is 200 years worth of currency creation.
That's incredible.
Now, so that's 0.8 trillion. Now we create $1 trillion every year. That means we're creating more than 200 years worth of currency every single year. This is an emergency, the scale of which we've never seen before. I don't know what's going on behind the curtain, but for him to come out and say that they're not going to taper, and we're 4 years into an economic, so-called recovery, an economic expansion.
Yeah, that's laughable.
And there's a recession every 4 to 5 years. For him to say that they're not going to taper is an admission that they can never, ever
Exactly.
taper.
Yeah.
If they do, the whole thing comes crashing down.
Right.
They could have tapering is not turning off the spigot. They could have printed $79 billion next month and then $78 billion the month after. But he wouldn't even do that. And so I think we're looking at, I think that the crash of 2008 was just a speed bump on the way to the main event. And I think that before the end of you can't do this kind of monetary recklessness, the currency printing, without economic consequences, and the consequences are going to be horrific.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the decade will bring us the greatest financial calamity in history. But that means that it's also the greatest opportunity in history. I mean, this sounds really scary to people, but and it is scary, and it's going to be bad for our society as a whole. But for the individual, it's also an opportunity because you can protect yourself and gain wealth at the same time.